Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Donjo number TS-200BP. This is a brass-plated steel thimble strike, they call it, made of steel. The BP stands for brass-plated, and then if you wanted the silver or chrome color, it would be a CP. They call this a thimble strike. I'm more comfortable calling it maybe not a thimble strike, because a thimble strike should look like a sewing thimble, and that would be the TS-100. But nonetheless, I don't know why rectangular shape would exclude it as operating as a thimble. I guess if you had I guess this is closer to rectangular than round. Anyway, the strike itself is used in installations, typically in steel, where you need to add a deadbolt. You can't weld in the reinforcing tabs or attach the mounting tabs that you would have for a standard strike plate that would require the screws top and bottom. But you can get a jigsaw and you can cut that rectangular size and then pressure fit this in. Those raised tang areas there, once you cut the right size, put your block of wood over it and use your mallet and tap that in, you'll be able to probably experience very good, successful results using this type of strike. And that's really where you're going to use it, where you need to do a relatively less complex job that doesn't involve the mounting tabs. If cutting a rectangular prep is not your first option, the TS-100 is the round thimble strike that you would just drill a 1-inch hole into the location. The advantage of this, though, is that it's a little bit larger on the inside. And let's go over the dimensional properties of this now. The width of this, it's every bit of 7/8. And the height, it's about 1 3/8 inches. Overall length, about 1 5/16 inches. The overall faceplate dimension, about 1 5/8 inches. Overall width, about 1 1/8 inches. Now, let's get the caliper, and before we move to that, there's a link below this video to a document called Template that will give you the dimensional properties. They're not giving you a preparation to make in the door, and let's tackle that now. The overall width of the plate is 1.132. 1.132. When I put the caliper down underneath the head of those tangs, it's 0.952, so quite marginally less, 20 thousandths less. The dimension down here at the bottom, because it's somewhat conical shaped, is 0.942. So I would be really tempted to make a preparation that's going to be in the range of 0.97, just less than 1 inch wide, is what I'd like to do. Now the height, the overall height of the faceplate, according to the caliper, is 1.631. 1.631. So basically 1 5/8. The underside of the head is 1.477. 1.477, so 1 in 15/30 seconds. And I would be looking to make my preparation something in the range of 1 in 7/16, something right in that range for the height. Yes. Opt to maybe go a little bit on the small side. You can take your file and enlarge that should you need to. You're going to really want to get this to fit in relatively freely up to where those tangs start, and then you're going to want to expect to have to use a wooden block and a mallet to get that in flat. Okay? And then the rest of the securing process will be through the screws that will be back behind here. Because of where you're going to install this, you'll want to be mindful of not splitting the stud behind, and you will get a couple of screws. The screw that's towards the stop itself, I wouldn't hesitate in probably getting different screws and maybe using a much longer screw. And be sure, again, to properly pre-drill those holes. You don't want to split that stud because that's what's going to hold that strike in better. And use maybe a longer screw if possible towards the stop because you'll have much more of the stud face that's there to secure this too. Okay, I'm not. I don't. The TS100, the TS-100 is by far the more common thimble strike, but I can see the advantages of this because it's going to give you a little bit more play area in what you're dealing with, and may allow you to salvage an otherwise odd situation where you simply need more space for the bolt, and that you don't have the ability to gather or gain any more space out of the existing installation. Now, there is a link below this video. Oh, and there are no installation instructions. So what you're going to want to do is measure the center line of the deadbolt, top of the door to the center of that latch bolt, to the center. Transfer that dimension to the frame, but be mindful if you're going to put your tape measure up to the underside of the header that you need to allow for the gap between the top of the door and the underside of the head, generally about 1/8 of an inch. So if it's 35 7/8 on your door, you'll need to mark it off at 36 inch if you're measuring that on your frame. Then the lateral or the horizontal center line, be mindful of transferring the center of the door dimension to the frame because it's probably not the same. Your door may have a small amount of inset. When the door is in the closed position, it may not make contact directly with the face of the frame because there might be a mute installed there. So you want to account for that space and the inset as well. What some carpenters, old timers, do is they will use something like, I'm sure they've actually used this product with great success, but lipstick of all things on the face of the latch bolt, and then they will throw the latch bolt against the jamb when the door is in the closed position, and they'll mark that, and they're going to have a real good location at that point. And that's a good idea. I certainly would not. I would prefer just to measure it and mark it off that way. But that would be, I suppose, in a pinch, I guess if you don't have a tape measure, you might be able to make that work as well. Okay. Now, there's a link below this video to a document called Product Catalog that will allow you to review all of the strikes available from Donjo, and they have a comprehensive offering of that material for both residential and commercial uses. And if you're looking for a strike like this, you very well will want to familiarize yourself with that catalog because there is very likely several other potential solutions that will at least as elegantly solve your problem. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Donjo products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the Donjo number TS-200 BP Thimble Strike or any other Donjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.